Well, today I've got a good friend of mine back to the discussion that I always enjoy talking to. His name's Troy Weathers. It just so happens he's running again for state representative. And I'm going to see what's going on with him. It's going to be a great discussion. Hope you enjoy it. Anytime it's in the 80s, I'm good.
Me too.
And I've always wanted to move somewhere like Arizona where it's really hot. You like hot weather or cold weather?
Well, I like in between. That sounds terrible, it's true. I used to like cold weather, but I'm not really a great fan of cold weather. And
what's cold, 40 or 30?
Probably 30. In the 30s or less, you can have all that you want. I like warm weather. I'm not real crazy about 100 degrees because I like to be outside. I like to do things. So it really limits your ability to be outside.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
Are you a yard worker?
No.
When you
My
go
wife would like for me to be.
When you go outside, what's your thing?
Well, my outside is going out and sitting by the pool, if you all know the truth. Enjoying the grandkids.
You listen to the radio when you're out there?
I listen to radio and or TV. We have a big screen TV outside on the wall.
If you listen to the radio, what do you listen to?
I listen to country music.
What kind? The old stuff?
Old stuff.
Hank Williams?
No, I'm not.
Waylon Jennings?
Yes, probably. A lot of those. I am, and I'm probably like a lot of folks of my age. I like what we had when we were growing up.
Which was what?
Puppy love.
Oh, really?
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
I was knocking on the door this week, okay, and this gentleman, when I walked up to his house, he asked me about a song that I'd never heard of, okay, and he said, who sang that song? And I looked at him and I said, well, I don't have a clue if you just want to know the truth. But now, who sang Puppy Love? Well, when I said that to him, he said, oh gosh, I don't know. His wife was standing out there with him too. You know, he was working, he was weeding. Yeah. Okay, and he said he's thought about it. He said, I don't know. And I said, Donnie Osmond. Donnie Osmond.
That's right.
And he said, you got me.
You know what made that song famous? He says, and they call it in the stalls. It says Puppy Love.
Puppy Love.
That was a great song.
It was a great song. And I told him, I said, that was one of those songs that as a young boy, I enjoyed.
You know, he came out with a new song here about a year ago.
I don't know, what was it?
I forget, but it was a pretty good song. He'd aged some, but you could tell it was Donnie Osmond.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was interesting that someone is going to test me on music, and then I tested him, and he failed too. So, but let me tell you, when I left his house, I ended up putting signs in his yard because he asked. He said, anybody that's come back with a good challenge like that to me, I like.
I remember watching Big Bang Theory and what was that guy on Big Bang Theory? Sheldon. Sheldon was talking to Penny about how she didn't know stuff and wasn't as smart as him, and she says, well, who's Radiohead? Which Radiohead's a current guy that wears a radio on his head. It's a big popular thing right now, and he didn't have a clue either. So sometimes people know more than we do in areas that they're familiar in.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm not a music major whatsoever. I love it, but I don't like when I was. I'll give you, we all have reasons why we know and don't know things, okay? And I would tell you my reason is I went to work when I was 11 years old, so I didn't listen to the radio. I went to work when I got out of school. And then when I got home, I went to bed because I was wore out. And on Saturdays, I didn't watch cartoons because I went to work. all day. So I never, now did I listen to some music? Yes, but I couldn't tell you the artist and how long they lived or anything else.
You weren't going to the music store and picking
No,
out
sir,
albums.
never
You
did.
just listened on radio.
Never did. Even in my car, I never bought a cassette tape or I think it was what was the
8-track?
8-track. I never owned an 8-track in my life because I guess I was conservative enough to say if I want to listen to it, I could find it on the radio. I'm not sure why I want to pay for something and then have it in the car. So I never did. Not that it's good, bad, or ugly. It's just I just never done those things. If I wanted to listen to it, I'd try to find it on the radio. If not, I found something that I liked.
Ever since I've known you, you just worked.
Yeah, that's
Until you retired recently. How long have you been retired?
I've been retired 3 years. I loved working, and I still do a lot of things.
Now, is it if I remember correctly, Lloyd Rogers hired you after seeing you sweep in the warehouse?
That's exactly correct. Now, Lloyd Rogers
He was smart, wasn't he?
Well, I think he was. I think he's brilliant, if he's one of the truth. But he was a kind man, and he knew that I had been in business before, so I wasn't just a laborer. But that's what I was at that time, okay? But he saw the pride that I took in sweeping floors. And he said, a man will take that kind of pride. It's a man I want to talk to and see if he'll come to work for me. And I was the first person that a wholesale supply group had ever hired that came from just off the street and went into management. And that was a great honor for me. And I worked very hard. And I was there 26 years, so obviously I'd done my job. And he made me a vice president of the company. And I was very blessed to be a part of it. It's a great company.
You know, that was something just to, when you went from sweeping into management, was there a learning curve?
Yes, sir. There always is if you're taking a job on with a challenge. But see, I think Mr. Rogers' comment to me was that anybody that would work like you work, I don't have to worry about what's going to happen here. And he said, "You're the man in charge. You make the decisions. This is what your task is, and you just need to complete the task." And that's the instructions he gave me. And probably the first 2 years, I worked 5 o'clock in the morning till probably 6 or 7 o'clock at night, because I was getting people in line, getting people trained on how we need to run this operation. And then after that, it was a different ballgame.
Do you think management has anything to do with the business you're in, or do you think management is sort of a standard process? I always wondered that. Could a guy that can run this, can he run that too? Is there a formula there that they keep, or do you have to be skilled in an area?
Well, I think it's a formula in their mind and who they are that they keep. I don't believe, if you watch large corporations, you'll have a president come from this corporation and go over to this other corporation, and there's nothing about him the same at all. However, he has the management skills to make that company successful. I think if it's in you, it's in you. If that's who you want to be and you're good at it, it doesn't really matter the minor details, because you can figure those out because you're smart, or you wouldn't be where you're at.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's more of the process and the systems, maybe systems over goals. Maybe systems are better than just the goals.
Exactly.
How we reach at this process.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I, if you don't mind, I'll tell you a little short story. I remember when I went to work. I went to work when I was 11 years old, and I was making 75 cents an hour.
Where at?
Lynn Davis.
Kalo,
Lynn Davis. And if you want to know what Lynn Davis looked like, look at his son Chip, because he looks identical to him. Okay.
Great
I say, oh, great. Chip
guy.
is wonderful. I saw a picture of him the other day in the paper, and I went, man, that's Lynn. That's Lynn. Like he's just changed. He looks just like Lynn, but just a great man. And he was one of those guys that I think it's amazing how smart Lynn was. He was a good businessman, and he was the tightest man I ever met in my life. But let me tell you what I learned working for him. I realized in a very short period of time that if I was going to be a laborer all my life, I realized that the guy who's telling me what to do, he's making more money than me. Now, I know it sounds silly, but that's an 11-year-old boy in his mind thinking, gosh almighty, how do I get on the other side? Okay? and be the person who is instructing people how to do their job, and not necessarily, if you don't know the truth, not working as hard as that person.
Yeah.
I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty simple. But so when I saw that, I thought, I asked myself, believe it or not, how do I do this? How do I get on the other side of the fence? In other words, and at that point, that's when I started working toward getting on the other side of the fence. I worked for Lynn Davis for 5 years. Great experience, probably one of the best experience I've ever had working for someone, because of the fact that I learned so many things about business and about being conservative, taking care of what you have. I think I may have said this last time.
Was he building houses at that time?
Yes, sir. I have filled more basements than you built.
With gravel?
With gravel and a wheelbarrow and a shovel. Okay. I have, so we didn't even talk about that last time. I have waterproofed more foundations than most people's ever seen in their life.
Let me tell you what I did one time. Years ago, I was working on this house, and me and the Bobcat guy had stayed late. We were trying to get it waterproof before it rained.
Yeah.
We put the pipe in. I'd called, I guess, wholesale supply, and we were clowning around a little bit, and he'd talk through the pipe, and I could hear him on the other end, and we were just joking as we was putting it in. We got it all covered with gravel and backfilled with about a foot of dirt, and we really felt it was like 7 o'clock at night, getting ready to get dark. It's gonna rain in the morning. We're about done, and it dawned on me: how did our voice go through if it was slotted pipe? And it was not slotted pipe. God, I told him, and me and him both just nearly. So depressed.
Oh, I bet.
And so what we did was we went and got another roll. I forget where we got the roll. And he would shovel 3 feet, and I would step on the perforated pipe, and we'd put it down, and we walked in a line and replaced that. I never will forget that night.
Oh yeah, I bet you will.
I've never done that again. Because when you call it, it's not perforated, it's perforated slotted pipe.
Exactly.
And so we had called for slotted pipe and not perforated slotted pipe.
Right. Well, I put a lot of that in my time.
Did you grow up in overall Benton Pike?
I did. Benton Pike, we lived over in East Cleveland.
East Cleveland.
Till the 5th grade, and then we moved to Rolling Brook Subdivision and went to Michigan Avenue to finish up to the 8th grade.
You grew up about as poor as I've known people. Maybe I've known a few other people, but...
Well, just so you know, yesterday I went to a school reunion, East Cleveland school reunion. They have one they try to have one about every 2 years, and I went to it yesterday.
Who was in there that I might know?
Oh gosh, Mr. Rowland.
Tom?
No, not Tom. Now I've gone blank. What's Mr. Rowland's first name? Bradley.
Earl, yeah.
Earl Rowland.
Yeah.
He
was a great guy.
Oh, isn't he wonderful?
Yeah.
He's one fine gentleman. Okay?
Perfect
guy. He was there. Several other folks. The Watsons were there. And then other folks I didn't know, but just some really great. The Garins. Do you remember Cobb Garin?
Cobb Garin.
Cobb Garin owned the store.
I've talked about him just last week.
His 3 sons were there yesterday for the reunion. So we had a very good crowd. I told the story. If you don't mind, I'm going to tell the story I told them yesterday. I was, we were very poor, and on Friday they'd give a kid an opportunity to buy a little container of ice cream. You know, the ones you took the
wooden spoons.
Oh gosh! Well, now that was a treat. It's 5 cents. And I thought, oh gosh, this is great. So, and we live for Friday if we could get enough money to do it. So I bought me a container of ice cream, and we were walking behind the school, and somehow somebody had gotten to the grease pit of the cafeteria where they cooked the food, and they'd taken the top off of it. Oh, God. Okay, and I walked right and went right straight down in the grease pit. I'm telling you, it was the stinkingest thing. If you've never smelled a grease pit, it is the stinkingest thing you've ever smelled in your life, okay? And I'll never, and I still see it today. I remember going down there, and it was probably to my neck, okay? And there's my ice cream floating there in front of me. Oh gosh, I was tore slap up, let me just tell you. Well, some folks helped me get out, and now we didn't ride a bus, we walked. So I had to walk all the way home. Nobody get beside me because I'm telling you, I didn't smell very good. And it was terrible. I'll never forget that all my life. But that ice cream is what upset me the most. I didn't get to eat my ice cream.
Is there any time that you eat Mayfield ice cream that you don't think of that?
Oh no. I think those things in life sometimes, Dee, builds character. Okay. Now I could have just cried and just absolutely been tore up, but I knew that I wasn't watching what I was doing. Somebody left it off. The first mistake was the lid was left off. The second mistake is I wasn't paying attention. And I should have been paying attention to what I was doing, but I was more focused on that little little cup of ice cream. But that was the thing that bothered me the most is I wasn't paying attention enough and lost my ice cream.
Well, that was a perfect story, isn't it?
Well, it's just sometimes we experience those things and we don't ever forget them because it was, we don't remember everything. I don't remember everything that happened in my life, but those little things in life that we remember that helps shape us who we really are. But it makes you
wouldn't take
humble.
$100,000 for that experience.
Oh, no, sir. Because it makes you humble. You realize that life's not perfect. We're going to go through ups and downs. Things are going to happen. And it's how we look at it. See, it was how did I react after I got out of the pit?
And everybody else had their ice cream still.
That's right. Everybody else had their ice cream.
And you felt stupid too.
And embarrassed.
The whole thing, everything.
Exactly. So
it couldn't get any worse.
It couldn't get any worse. And that was okay. Life went on, and I've been blessed, and I've had it. Trust me, Dee, I've eaten a lot of ice cream since that day. I still love ice cream. But it's a learning experience, and it's a thing that builds your character of who you are to realize that life's not perfect. It doesn't matter if you're poor or rich, that's still not perfect. There's still ups and downs. And how do you deal with those issues? I've dealt with that and have dealt with many more in my life, but the good Lord sure has blessed me.
But that one probably helped you get through some of the other stuff.
Yeah. You can think back on it and think, man, now when I tell you, I say, it's an understatement if I just tell you it was the worst smelling stuff I've ever smelled in my life. But I had grease and yuck. All over me.
If nobody had been watching, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad if you hadn't had the ice cream. Maybe it wouldn't have been.
And if you didn't have 5 or 6 or 10 people walking with you going home.
Yeah, all those things.
All those things added up to make it a pretty dramatic day to remember. Okay. And then
I remember I was on Halloween. We all dressed up, and I had on a Casper the Ghost costume. And all my cousins were there. We had the big orange, things you carry. Mm-hmm. And I jumped off into the grass, into some dog shit. Mm. And my dad wore me out. Mm. And I never have forgot that. And about 2 years ago, and I guess I was then, 6? Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, he texted me and said, "Hey, I apologize for spanking you for jumping off the porch."
Wow.
So it was on his mind too.
Yes. Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, to me it was get off of that. That's sort of thing. It wasn't I hate this son of a gun.
Exactly.
It wasn't like that. But in his mind, he wanted to clear that up, which was good.
It's always good. I mean, and we all experience those things in our life where we think, boy, did I say something I shouldn't have said? Was I too hard? And I've been guilty for some of those things. I'm sure that sometimes I say things before I think.
Absolutely, we all do.
And
we think we're being tough at the time, and it's so embarrassing later when you say, "Why did I say that?
Why did I say that?" You're right.
I've done that so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm maybe one of the worst, and just feel so ashamed of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But but you have to just keep going on. So. Wonder where Kalo got his name.
Kalo. I don't know. I met his parents. Very, very nice people.
Mm-hmm.
but I have no clue where he got it. But I mean, he never did go by it. He just went by Lynn.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he didn't even go by that name.
Didn't even go by the name. Yeah. But his you know, he has a daughter, Michelle. Matter of fact,
she's good
if I
looking,
could tell a
isn't
little
she?
story about Michelle.
She's good looking.
She's
isn't
beautiful lady. She was a
Golly.
beautiful girl. She's a beautiful lady now. She told me, this is honest truth, and I'm blessed to have so many people in my life that I was nobody working for Lynn Davis. I was, again, I'm back to being a laborer. Okay, that's who I was at 11 years old, 12, 13, 14, 15. She came out. I was at the senior center, the last election I was in, holding a sign, waving, okay? And she pulled up and she stopped. And she said, Troy, I don't ever vote. But she said, I came out to vote for you. And you just don't know what that means.
Oh,
when
man.
people, you know, I've always thought highly of her. She was always, she was, like you said, a beautiful young lady,
Yeah.
still beautiful today.
Yeah.
And she came out when she said, I don't usually get out to vote. And she trains horses, she said to me.
Yeah.
And she said, I came out just to vote for you. And I'm telling you, when you have people in your life that do that, that means the world to you if you're running for a race, because they cared enough about you to take the time out that you never. If you'd have told me now, is Michelle going to vote for you this year? I said, I hadn't spoken to Michelle in 40 years or 50 years. Okay. So I was shocked to see her there, but it's amazing what impact we have in life, in people's lives that you don't even know.
We have no clue.
We have no clue. And it just touched my heart. And it didn't matter if I won or lost. Those kind of moments don't come around very often. And I hadn't forgot that
Yet
she
you're
made that
mentioning
effort.
it today.
Right.
That was 4 years. How long
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. But it meant something to me, and it means something. You know, I can tell you a lot of political stories.
We
But
got
let
tons
me
of time.
let me tell you one that really that was just unbelievable, just wonderful. I had a teacher that they lived in my district when I lived out on 64 Highway, and she was going to vote, and she went over to early voting to the trailer over there at Food City. Remember that? Well, she walked in there and she had her son with her. And they walked in, and the lady said, are you here to vote? Yes. Are you voting Democrat, Republican, whatever? And the lady behind the desk looked at the little boy, and she said, who are you here to vote for, buddy? And he blared out. He said, Troy Weathers. Oh, gosh. She said, shh, you can't say that in here. So his mother called me and told me that story. Well, let me go ahead and tell you, he's voting for me July the 27th.
Because he's old enough.
Because he's old enough to vote, okay? But when his mother told me that, I thought it was so precious that innocence, okay? And so obviously his mom and dad had been talking about it, okay? To know that. Well,
Sure.
I had some remote cars that and nice ones.
RC cars, they call them?
They were battery operated,
Yeah.
rechargeable.
Yeah.
And I took it over to him on Saturday morning and gave it to him. And I thanked him for it. Now, I wasn't trying to buy his vote because he couldn't vote for me, but I thought it was just the sweetest
Yeah.
thing of an innocent boy saying that. It was just cute, but his family still supports me today, and he's supporting me, and his sister's supporting me today. That means something to me. I'm sorry. Those things you don't forget.
You don't
And
forget
they
them.
make impressions on your life that, gosh almighty, I just, those kind of memories what keeps me going, Dee. You know what I mean? It gives me that, gosh almighty, this is what it's about, to have friends and people in your life that help shape and move the needle.
You never know what really helps people, but it's stuff like, it's something in that range of doing stuff for people. Just a simple word or something.
That's exactly right. Just
What I found out with people, if they're sitting at a restaurant and you walk up and give them $100 and buy their meal, that will never do as much as walking up behind them and patting them right behind the shoulder blade and just saying, and just keep walking. That will have more impact than buying their lunch for 2 weeks. I don't know why that is.
Well, I think people.
And you know where I learned it from?
Where'd you learn it from?
I'll be honest with you. I went to a Republican Lincoln Day dinner. And I was about, I don't know, I guess I was 22. I sit with Troy Dixon. And lo and behold, Toby McKenzie, who I had never met nor talked to, walked behind me and patted me on the shoulder and kept on walking. And I thought to myself, wow.
Yeah.
And didn't even say nothing. He didn't acknowledge he knew me. And I thought, wow. So I started doing that. It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. It's acknowledgement.
You know, they say that gestures, I've read that book on gestures, and that's in the book. Also, you're not supposed to ever grab somebody behind the elbow. That's a bad thing. And when you shake hands, you're supposed to slightly turn the hand over just slightly. And they said Bill Clinton was the best at those movements and gestures, and evidently he was.
Evidently.
So it's the little things that you wouldn't think matter more than the others.
Right. And you wouldn't think after this many years I'd still be mentioning that, the young lad saying that.
Right.
Okay. But,
Or Michelle. Rakestraw. Is that her name? Didn't she marry Rakestraw?
That's correct, yes. So,
Boy, she was good looking.
yeah. She was a great girl. She still is a great lady.
Do you think, was your family from here originally? Your mother and your
Cleveland,
father?
yes.
Your father also as well?
Well, he died right shortly after I was born, so I never did know him. We lived on South Ocoee Street, right down past the Coke factory, Coke Bottle Company, on South Ocoee Street.
Oh, on the South Ocoee. On the right, going down.
On the left.
On the left.
On the left.
Wasn't there an old Hannah's grocery store there?
To be honest with you, I really
Robert
don't remember.
Hannah's little.
I don't remember.
So you lived close to wholesale.
Oh yes. Yeah, isn't it amazing how you end up back at places
Isn't
like
that
that?
weird?
It really is. I've thought of that many times. I thought, here I was
It's like full circle.
born here, just a full circle. Here I'm down here working right down the street. I remember going to my aunt's house, which was a little even closer to Bishop Bakery. Oh gosh, you ever smelled Bishop Bakery in the
have
day
I?
and you
Yeah.
think, oh gosh, this is the best thing I've ever smelled. I remember when
Yeah.
I was a kid, we'd go down to my aunt's and I thought, gosh, this is wonderful. I could live here forever.
Whenever I think of the Cleveland Community Center swimming pool,
That's right.
I get hungry for those little Debbies. And they're not even little Debbies, they're little, but I go get a little Debbie instead of a little Bishop.
Exactly.
You know, that's still a pretty popping place, isn't it?
Oh, it really is.
Working.
It's been going strong for years. And Flowers, I think, owned them at one time, and so they changed hands
Cleveland
many
doesn't
times.
give that place enough credit.
I think you're
Nor
right.
the community center either, I don't
I
think.
think you're probably right.
I hadn't been in there in years.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I remember when they built it.
So where'd your aunt live?
She lived probably, where the community center is, she probably lived 3 or 4 houses down on your left, coming back this way.
Okay. Before the creek. Isn't there
Before
a
the creek, yes. And before the church.
Before the church.
The church, yes. But I guess I'll just never remember not remember the smell. The smell is what always got me, is that there's
Always.
bacon and think, gosh, this is wonderful.
See, I have that smell and chlorine of the pool all in the same thing. Did you ever? Yeah, I don't guess you ever read that book about. Let's see, what was the name of that book? I can't ever. I think it was called Going Back Home or something. The lady had she had the premise of the book was she had some kind of problem that she was trying to solve. And so she gets in her car and she just starts driving. So as she's driving, she stops at a vegetable or fruit stand and she gets a fig. And when she gets back in the car, she smelled the fig, and the fig reminded her of her grandmother. And she thought of the things that her grandmother had told her, and during that ride, it solved her current problem because she smelled the fig that her grandmother would have done. Isn't that a great story?
It sure is. Wow.
Do you think that running for state representative is your next sweeping job?
No question. I believe that this is what I believe about service. Okay, I believe it's a service-related job. I believe that you're there to serve the people who put you there. You're not there to make the governor happy or anybody in Memphis or Nashville. You're here to do what's good for our community.
Such as working for Lloyd Rogers.
That's exactly right. I believe that we should, as a state representative, I had a paper call me probably 4 or 6 weeks ago, and they said, Mr. Weathers, that they were talking about a bill that my opponent tried to pass, and I said, let me tell you what I do believe. I believe Cleveland, Tennessee, and Bradley County, sometimes when we become legislators, we go to Nashville and we forget what the struggles that we go through here in Cleveland. For instance, when it comes to money, we, as a community, we have to think long and hard before we decide to spend $500. Mm-hmm. I mean, I talk to my wife, we think about it. It's not just like we just write a check and say, here you go. Mm-hmm. I mean, we think long and hard about it. And most people...
For a guy that comes from East Cleveland, he just didn't do that.
You don't do that. And I mean, and I think most of the people in Cleveland, Bradley County, do the same thing. At least that's what they tell me when I'm knocking on doors, is that means something. Mm-hmm. But we get in Nashville and we decided that $700 million isn't any money, or $200 million isn't any money. And I don't know how we change that, because I believe if you've got that kind of extra money, let's give it back to the people. Let's just not find something to spend it on.
Yeah, or put it to a source that everybody's needing.
Well, can I give you an example? Yeah. If Cleveland or Bradley County sends me to Nashville, anytime there's money that is extra, then let me tell you the way that I think it should come back to our community when you've done all the projects that need to be done. Okay, I'm not saying to stop doing anything and just put it back here, but when you have that kind of extra money to want to spend $700 million, then we ought to put it against the sales tax and lower our sales tax on food.
Absolutely.
And then you benefit, I benefit, my mother benefits, my kids benefits, the senior citizens benefit.
And the retail store doesn't get hurt at all.
Don't get hurt at all. Matter of fact, it probably helps them. Okay? So it gives us more money in our pocket here in Cleveland in order to go spend and support our local vendors, which I think is very critical and very important.
So you think maybe the government is like this, like in some management regimes? Here's your budget for this year. I remember when I worked for Doug Elrod, he would always go to the budget meetings, and mm-hmm. he was one of the few people that didn't try to spend his budget.
Right.
He would literally, and I know this for a fact,
yeah.
he would try to come under budget. He wouldn't try to go to it or over it, so right. he would get more next
money.
time.
Yep.
Not many people know that about
right.
Doug,
oh,
but
yeah.
he was a great, honest guy.
You better believe he was.
So that's what you're saying.
That's right.
You're not tap it out so you'll get more next time.
Exactly.
Come in under and make it look like you're doing good.
Exactly. Well, do good.
Yeah.
Not look like it. Let's do good. Let's be conservative in where we're at. See, people complain sometimes that they put money in that rainy day fund. But see, I like that,
yeah.
okay? Because we have to have a savings, so if something goes crazy, and which things have, mm-hmm. that we're prepared for that. And we don't hurt you and other citizens and the businesses in Cleveland or Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of those guys, I believe, but I do believe if you've got extra, let's not find something to spend it on, mm-hmm. okay? I do believe there's avenues that we can help. I mean,
put it where the masses need it.
Yes. Well, but let me also tell you that, I'm one of those guys that I've been here all my life, and I've been in the political arena for many, many years. Yeah. And I understand what school boards go through. I understand what the county commission goes through, or city council. And I believe that one of your jobs as a state representative is to help those guys do their job. We can't be making laws in Nashville that hurts us as a community. And let me tell you, you can find out real quick if we're hurting our community when you talk to our leaders of our community. They can tell you what we're doing up there sometimes don't make sense. And we're hurting what they have to do. And you have to have a level playing field for our folks to be successful. And we can't be, because we're in Nashville, think that we know more than they do. Because let me go ahead and break the news to you. That won't be the case with Troy Weathers. Troy Weathers is going up there with a humble heart, wanting to serve our community, and wants to make sure that our leaders know that they've got somebody in the corner for them.
You couldn't go to sleep at night if you didn't think people, if you thought people didn't think that, could you?
Oh, no, I couldn't. Let me tell you, I have no desire to do anything wrong or bad for our community. I don't need anything they've got in Nashville. My desire is to go up there and speak who we are and make sure that we are not left behind. You know, I'm not one of those guys, if you ever followed me on the school board, I was one of those guys that I spoke up. And why do you speak up, Mr. Weathers? Well, let me tell you. The reason you speak up is because I want to get you and you and you and you to see my side. And hopefully some of you will come with me and we can make a move in the direction that's good for Tennessee and is good for Cleveland, Tennessee. Now, why did I just say that? I said Tennessee first, but let me understand something. If you go to Nashville and Tennessee, Cleveland, Tennessee, that's who I'm representing, that's who is first in my decision making. Okay? And then Tennessee wins because most of the time, what's good for Cleveland, Tennessee is probably pretty good for Tennessee too. But we forget that sometimes.
But that's your hierarchy of decision making.
That's the hierarchy of decision. And if it changes, then you're not going to be there very long. Okay? They're going to, because one thing I've learned.
Do you think people, the general average Joe out here knows or that read up on that stuff?
Yes, sir. And if you think they don't, we're fooling ourselves. I'm amazed at the doors I've knocked on 2 years ago and this year, that how much knowledge they have about what goes on in Nashville. I'm just telling you.
So they're not ignorant?
No, sir. No, sir. It's unbelievable how smart they are. And I'm not just saying that. It's the truth.
Have you met some of them that you think, boy, they know I know you're following it. Do you think, boy, how they know all that?
Yes, sir. I'll be honest with you. I've gone and stood in front of them and started having a discussion, and they knew more than I knew at that point or on that one subject, okay? Mm-hmm. You know, let me tell you what I've learned in my political career is I've learned there's a lot of people around me that's very, very smart, and that's what I try to do. I try to get people around me that are smart, that knows their business. There's no way that any legislator could know all the things about what the sheriff needs, what the county commission does, what the city council does, what the bankers need, what the school system needs. You know, a lot of people say, well, Mr. Weathers, he's just going to be a school man. Well, let me tell you, I've had my own business in this town. I've been a vice president of a multi-million-dollar business, so it's not just schools. It takes all of us to make a community that works. But I have lots of friends that I can rely on that if I don't know something, guess what? I may be picking up the phone and saying, hey, Dee, I need you to look at this bill and tell me what's wrong with it. Make sure that if we're trying to pass something that's going to hurt building, Cleveland, then I need to know about it. Because you can read those bills and there's some words in there, let me just tell you, they'll throw you and then it means something you don't even know what it means, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm one of those guys that I believe that you got to have your inner circle of people who know what they're talking about and understand it and is willing to help as a state representative. This is what this says and this is what it'll do. Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
They passed a law in Nashville, the ankle bracelets. You know, when on work release, the work release program, they have to have an ankle bracelet on their foot. Okay, well, I don't know who had the bright idea that the employer, if I hired you or you hired me, I was in jail, I came and you gave me a job, and I wore the bracelet. They made a bill and passed it, and my opponent voted for it, that made you pay for the ankle bracelet.
The criminal or the boss?
The boss, the employer. Now, please tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't. Because all we done is destroyed the work release program at Bradley County Jail.
100%.
100%. Okay? Because I don't mind, as a business owner, and I've been a business owner, I don't mind hiring that person and giving them a chance, because let me tell you why. If you hire them, they pay their restitution, okay? So if they took money from another person, or they pay their fines, all those things. They're becoming a productive citizen again and doing what they're responsible.
They're also not sitting in jail either.
Doing nothing. That's exactly right. But since they've made that law and passed it, our work release program's not doing anything now. And now, here's what don't make any sense. We invested all this money as taxpayers into that facility over there for that to work, and the state just shot us in the foot.
It's insane.
It's insane. So that's what I'm saying. Now, that's why I said if something like that
And
comes
that's a
across,
minor thing that I understand.
Yes, and yeah, it don't take. My mom used to call you a rocket scientist. It
Yeah.
don't take a rocket scientist to realize that's not a smart thing to do. But if that bill came across my desk, the first person I'm going to call is who? The sheriff. I'm going to call the sheriff and say, "What's that going to do to you if we pass this?" And then if he says, "Mr. Weathers, it's going to hurt our program," well, the next thing Mr. Weathers does is I stand up and I start talking about it. I start talking about it in committees and tell them what it's going to do to our programs. I don't just sit there, Dee, and push yes or no. You got to have a voice. And if I go to Nashville, Cleveland and Bradley County will have a voice of reason.
That's what the state representative, he's sort of like a mail carrier in a sense. He takes the wishes of our area to their a representative.
100%. We have
They
to
ought
remember
they
who
ought to
voted
call
us.
it they ought to call it county representative
That's right.
instead of state,
Yes.
because they're our representing. You would be
I'm
representing our county.
That's right. And who we want to stay, or
Yeah.
what we want to be, okay, and protect our interest for down the road. So that, let me tell you, we have people coming into our town every single day. You know it as well as I do, from California, Texas, the north. It's unbelievable, and they say they came here because they wanted to be like us. They're not coming here to change us. Let me just tell you. People say, "Oh, I'm afraid they're going to change us." Well, let me tell you, they're coming here because they want to be a Republican.
They may be more like that than we are.
That's exactly. Well, because they've seen. I talked to a lady from California the other day, and she said, "I've lived out there, and I can't stand it anymore. That's why I came here." She's lived here 6 months. Okay. But she's from California, and she said, I want to be around the people like me. Conservative, Republican.
Wait till she gets in line at Walmart behind somebody that's checking out slow. She might she'll say, I'm in Cleveland, Tennessee now.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm telling you, we have lots of folks that are coming in, and they want to be part of who we are in Cleveland, Tennessee.
You know, if they passed a law here that you can't surf during the day, we wouldn't care. Pass the law. It's not affecting us. We don't have a beach here. We don't have any waves here.
Right.
But when they pass a law about maybe the ankle bracelets or gun laws or something like that, now you're starting to affect us. That's why a state representative or a county representative has to represent us on things that matter to us, and things that don't matter, who cares? Let them fly.
Exactly. Well, you mentioned a gun law. We had a gun law this year in Nashville, and what it was, it was a state representative that offered it, not ours, but another one, and it was said that we have schools. So let me give a little bit of details before it. We have school systems in this state that don't have SROs, that has very little protection on their kids, their students, you know, our future, really. And they said, well, we have lots of people in our schools that are very capable and qualified to carry a gun. See, today, unless you're an officer, you cannot carry a gun on any part of school property. None. You have to be an officer, certified officer. And even if you used to be an officer, as soon as you hand that badge in, you can't carry a gun. But you still have all the training. Well,
It's a little discriminating, isn't it?
It really is. Well, this bill was for if a school system chose. Now that I'm gonna come back to the chose road here. The chose word here in a minute. If they chose to go with this, then they could have a school teacher. Now we have school teachers. Everybody wants the Liberal Party wanted us to believe that we was going to put a school teacher with 2 guns on her side, and she's going down the hallway shooting at people. Okay, shooting at the gunman. Well, that was never the case.
We just want to give Herbert Lackey access to it if he needed it.
That's exactly right. And in his classroom, and they're over in the corner, and that gunman, man or female, came in your classroom. You'd have some way to protect those 20 kids.
I just soon him have it as the SRO that's on the other side of the campus.
That's exactly right.
Because they can't be everywhere.
That's right. So now let's go back to the choice just for a moment. So this law this gun bill was only giving a choice. It didn't say that you have to pay for an ankle bracelet. It said you get to choose if you want to do this or not. Well, let me go ahead and tell you, and I'll announce today that Cleveland and Bradley County School System and our sheriff, my good friend Steve Lawson, has decided that we don't need to do that here in Bradley County. We have SROs at all of our schools. We have 2 in each middle school and 3 at high schools. So we're covered as much as you can be covered.
Yeah,
Okay,
Steve's covered
is
that.
anything safe? 100% no. But they believe that right now we're okay. Well, there's lots of places that are not. So let me tell you one that I learned. After it was all over, I had a friend, and I won't name her. She came up to me and she said, "Mr. Weathers, where are you at on this gun law?" And I said, "This is where I'm at. I'd have voted for it because I thought it was the best. It was the best law. It probably would come out of Nashville in years because it gave people choices, and I like choices. Yeah. Okay." But she said, "Well, here's something that I don't understand. My representative voted no, and he said there's no good in that bill whatsoever." Well, this lady was affiliated with our Christian school across the road from First Baptist. Okay, they have no protection that I know of. I'm not sure, but they saw that as an opportunity.
Oh, they don't have an SRO.
That's right.
I see. Yeah.
They don't have an SRO, but they saw this as an opportunity, possibly. I didn't say they're going to do it. I don't know, but they see it as an opportunity that they would be able to give a level of protection that they've never had before. That it wasn't.
So you're saying it's almost vote for not some of these people that don't have one or can't afford it or for whatever reason. Now they can't have anything.
Well, it got passed, but even though our representative voted no. Okay, so let me explain the vote. They voted for it, and all the Democrats voted no, and our representative voted no, and all the Republicans voted yes. So it passed. So we have the law in place in Tennessee now. So that was wonderful. But the lady was very upset because that our representative voted no against it, and that's our Second Amendment. Dee, I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's what our Second Amendment means. That we have a fair shake of being able to carry arms, and no one said that a teacher had to do it. But if you look across a school system, we have people that are well qualified and can go back to school and get more training in order to do that. We have people as the criminal justice teachers. Most of those are police officers, former police officers. Okay, so you say, well, how many do you need? I don't know. But let me tell you, anytime you could do anything to bring up the level of security for your students, for your kids in Cleveland, Tennessee, or anywhere in the state of Tennessee, that's what we ought to be doing.
So that bill was just given the choice. It was not saying you had to or you didn't have to.
No, sir.
Because some schools might say, we don't want that.
That's exactly right.
That's fine too.
That's right, and that's what happened.
It's almost choice.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, our representative voted no for it, but our guys said we didn't want it anyway. But they didn't. Their input of saying we don't want it didn't mean nobody else in the state of Tennessee didn't deserve it. That's the issue, okay? And sometimes you have to look a little bit farther than just, I said earlier that you want to do what's right for Bradley County schools and Bradley County, as Cleveland City schools and our community. Well, voting yes was what was right. It wasn't voted no, because voting no didn't get us anywhere. And again, you don't ever restrict gun control on our people. You give them the option. And the state did a wonderful job. I'll pat them all on the back. That was exactly what they did. They gave us an option, and I think it's important. So that's where I was in favor of it, still in favor of it, and we'll be in favor of it in the future.
Well, still, giving people the choice is control. It's giving them the control.
It takes it out of the state representatives' hands, okay, and the legislators.
They don't know about this school over here.
That's right.
Some, what do you call that, satellite school or
That's
something.
Right. Or private schools.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
See, the problem,
you might have a private school of 10 people and you don't need an SRO.
That's right.
But you need to still feel
have
like
some type of, if you could have extra protection, you should have it. If it's available, and this law made it available, so they could, if they wanted to pursue the requirements.
Yeah.
So there's lots of requirements to get there. But if you're willing to pursue that, then you got to have one.
I had this discussion similar, not real similar, but sort of similar with Charlotte Peak and Erica Davis last week about, they were of the mind that, voters and the public, research this stuff and read it. And I told them, I said, we don't have time to do that. I'm not going to read up on the law. That's why I vote for, Tom Cry and all these people. I let them do that. I'm with them. They're doing good. But we don't. That's why we have that. That's why we have a state representative or a
Senator
Gary Davis. Taking care of the stuff. I don't have time to look at all that stuff and wouldn't know what I'm reading. So I just have to go with them and hope that they do the right thing.
Right.
I just can't read up on all this stuff.
Exactly. Well, same thing as when I was on the school board. I lived and breathed it every day, okay? And I knew all the current issues that was going on, what was happening to teachers, what's happening to our students. And there's no way that you can know all that information to say, well, Troy, you should vote this way or that way.
No
okay?
way. I was on the planning commission for 27 years, and there's no, people would say, hey, why'd you vote that way? I said, well, it's just too complicated to tell, but I had a reason.
Right.
But do you think that the general public has a short memory or a long memory when it comes to what politicians do?
I think it's probably in between, to be honest with you, Dee. I don't think it's a short memory, but I don't think it's a long memory either. I think they find it stays when it's current. They remember it after 3 or 4 years. Then we've moved on to other issues, and life continues.
Maybe 6 months even.
Yeah,
reckon?
maybe even 6 months. You never know. But I think people. I think people probably remember longer than 6 months. I do believe it's somewhere around a 2-year frame that they remember. To be honest with you, I really do believe that.
Maybe that depends on the importance of it or how it
That's
affected
right. How it
them
affected
as
them
much.
personally. That's exactly correct.
We go out here a lot of times to different places, maybe a restaurant or somewhere, and they're having to do something different. And like I built a lot of restaurants, and you wouldn't believe the sinks that you have to have in a restaurant. I mean, you got a mop sink. I guess from hosing.
Very much.
Mop sink, a hand washing. You have to have a sink to wash your hands before you wash the dishes.
Yeah.
I mean, their sink's crazy. And maybe that's good, maybe it's not. But the people that are building that are deciding to open a restaurant, they don't have no voice in that. They just have to rely on whatever regulations come down, and a lot of times they're even enforcing rules that are not even written that way. It's just that's the way the inspector or the regulator is interpreting it, because there's a lot of difference in that, even how they interpret it.
Right. Yeah,
It's
you're
all
exactly right.
crazy,
It's how you're exactly right, because we could have the same law regulations here, and then we have the same ones in Chattanooga, and the person that's enforcing it reads it totally different than down here. That's exactly right. We've lived that for years.
Sure, I built here in Etowah and Polk County and Chattanooga and Grootly Logger and everywhere, and they're all, one guy will say that's fine, and the other one will say no, it's got to be red.
You're right. I've seen
So
that all
that's
my
why
life.
it's hard to figure stuff.
That's right.
So I don't know who the inspector is.
Exactly.
Or if he'll be there when we get done.
Exactly. You're right.
So-
and it can be very costly.
Very costly, time consuming. So how long have you been campaigning now for this?
I started campaigning probably in January. Now on a slow, going out and talking to people, let people know that I am running, and they're and kind of feeling.
Is the state representative just 2 years?
It's just 2 years, yes,
Well,
sir.
it seems like that ought to be 4 years to
Well,
give
the
them time
Senate
to
the
get.
Senate position's 4 years.
Wonder why 2 years for
Well,
representative?
because they in the House, their session is a 2-year session. Okay, so they don't. It's not like this year we had a session and next year, but it's just one session. They just adjourn and we start over the next year.
Seems like you would have to be. I mean, I know some people are against term limits, but I think that there's a certain amount of time that the politicians should be in there to learn. Like I say, we was talking about the learning curve, because by the time, maybe that's what would you say is the true textbook definition of a state representative?
A textbook definition of a state representative is to represent the people that put them there. Look out, make sure that the things we do in Nashville doesn't hurt our people back at home, and not be pushed around by lobbyists, not be controlled by lobbyists, but doing what's right for our community and our state. That's what our real job is. But then let me tell you a part of the job that most people don't talk about. And the job that I take a lot of pride in is helping other people. For instance, if Dee Burris called and said, Mr. Weathers, we've got a problem with this. I'm trying to get something. I'm trying to get these fire plans approved on this building, and they're just absolutely waiting around doing nothing. And they promised me and promised me and promised me. Well, one of my responsibilities is to pick up the phone and call the fire marshal in Nashville and say, or go to his office, okay, and say, we got a problem. These plans have got to be approved because we got a school out here we got to get built. And we're on a timeline. That's happened before, by the way. I'm giving you a scenario that's happened.
Well, let me tell you something that happened to me. I was doing T.L. Lowry's building, and we were having trouble getting state fire marshal approval. And he called Kevin Brooks. Next thing I know, I was in Nashville sitting with the head guy and Kevin Brooks and T.L. Lowry, all of them, and of course you know what happened. It was taken care of.
But
so that's what I guess he was the state representative at the time.
That's what he was. Okay. And Kevin Brooks was a great state representative, did a great job. I can, but that's that's the bigger part of your job, in my opinion. Okay, because we are the middle person. That when, I don't know why does that happen? I wish I knew the answer. But why does that happen when somebody from Cleveland or wherever you're from, they're trying to communicate with someone in the state and you can't get anywhere? That's that state representative's job, to get those two parties together and let's get something done, because we got people waiting and you're holding up progress. And I don't want you to shortchange nothing about it, but sometimes, you ever saw this? That goes on the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, what you need is a state representative that can help you get it put back on the top of the pile, because we need that. But you have to have, what you have to have in Nashville is you got to have enough gusto about yourself that they'll listen to the state representative. You know, I would hope that if I pick up the phone and call the fire marshal, he'll say, Mr. Weathers, how can I help you?
Right.
Okay. That would be the response that I would hope, because they know that being a state representative is not about me. It's about our community. It's about doing what's good for them. And when they need help, it's my responsibility as your state representative, if I make it, if the folks want me there, is to make sure that Nashville understands that we mean something here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Where did that come from in you? I see a passion for doing that. And
Dee,
I mean, was it?
Let me just.
Your mother?
I don't know what it was, but let me tell you what I think it was. Okay, I grew up very poor and had nothing, and lots of people in my life. Kayla Lynn Davis, lots of people, not just him. Mrs. England at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay, I had lots of people in my life that helped me when they didn't have to. Okay, and that they cared about me when they didn't have to. And I guess in my heart of hearts, I owe a lot back to my heritage of where I came from, of Cleveland, Tennessee, and Bradley County. I owe a lot back to them, and I'm one of those guys. I believe you do what's right. I believe you fight for the people it needs to be fought for, and you support the people it needs your support. And it's just part of who I am, what I am. It's in my heart of hearts that I want to do the right thing and help people get where they need to go. I mean, it's just, I'll give you an example. And it's a silly example, but it's kind of how you base your life on it. I had a student one time that a mother called me and said she used to love to go to school. But now she comes home and cries every day because she had a teacher that didn't, some teachers are just nourishing as you could ever want, but some teachers are pretty tough. Now, my daughter the tough teachers didn't bother her one bit, but there's some kids that don't work good for them. And the mother had gone through all the chains that you think you need to go through, and she was told no. And she called me. Well, I'm on the school board, and it's my responsibility to follow up. So I followed up, and I called the principal and said, hey, and here's the thing that I do believe in life. If I'm a state representative or school board member or anything, or have any positions that I have, I always say, would I do it for my daughter? Or would I do it for my oldest daughter to my youngest daughter? Would I do it? And if I would do it for my daughter, I'm going to do it for you. And that's what I looked at when that happened. I said, if I was to call the principal, would he say yes or no if it was my daughter's? Mm-hmm. And he had said yes. Let me just go and tell you, he'd said yes. Mm-hmm. So I was never hesitant making those kind of phone calls because I knew that if I asked them for me, they'd say yes. If they're going to say yes for me, mm-hmm. they got to say yes for your daughter too. Okay? And yes, the child got moved out of that class, and she's already graduated college. Okay? And she loved school from that day forward again. So now, how big was that? It wasn't nothing, okay?
But I think your personality comes from somewhere else. It's deeper than that.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sort of a halfway psychologist.
But I don't know what it is, though, Dee, if you want to know the truth. I just know that's who I am. That's who I have.
Was your mother that way?
Probably not. I didn't know my father, so I don't know what he was like. I heard things that some of that may have came from him, but
you never knew who he was?
No, I didn't. I know his name. But I just didn't know. I don't remember him at all. Okay.
No stepfathers?
I had a stepfather.
Was he that way?
No. He was a drunk. Mm. Okay. And that's probably one reason we were poor, if you just want to know the truth. Mm. So, and that's why I guess and that might have been my drive to be something someday, because I didn't want to be there with a handout. You know, I've been blessed because certainly when I was a child, we got lots of help. Mm-hmm. But
where'd you get help from?
Got help from Brother Littlefield. I can remember, Dee, we lived in a house there beside Lee University. Matter of fact, it's gone now, okay, all the ones on that street. But I remember looking out the window at Christmas time and seeing them bringing gifts and bringing food. You remember the food baskets they used to give away at Christmas?
Don Irvin's?
Yes, Don Irvin was part of that. I remember getting that, my family. And I remember going over to Littlefield's and getting Christmas. Then? I was 5 or 6 years old. And I was...
Did you know then that you were getting charity?
Yes, I did. I sure did. Because we wouldn't have had it if they didn't give it to us. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I knew when I was 5 or 6 years old that there were people filling a gap. Brother Littlefield. So
Steve Hartline's
grandfather.
That's right.
One wonderful, wonderful man. Mm-hmm. So. You know, so to speed up. I knew all the people helped me and did what they to make me who I am. Okay, and I've never forgot that, and I never will forget that. I still see people when I went to church that was supporters. I knew that was supporters of the youth group, and I see them out in the community. And you can be assured, I always go up to them and say thank you. And if I've said it to them 10 times, I'm going to go back and tell them 11th time if I see them, because I think it's critical that we remember how we got where we're at and who was, you know, sometimes some people do great things to get you where you're at, and there's sometimes people do little small things.
Little bitty things
that you think is so insufficient, it's significant, but it is something. But let me tell you what, you talked about where does the heart come from?
It's not just a heart, it's a deep passion for I don't know, maybe standing up for the ones that can't stand up for themselves.
Well,
could that be it?
It's very possible, but I guess the thing I'd say to you with I think it's a passion of giving back because I was so blessed. Okay. That's my passion, just so you know. As I sit here and think about it,
yeah.
It's because so many people were involved in my life that if had not been, I would still have nothing and be nothing or done nothing or been successful.
And they were also not just helping you; they were helping your brothers and sisters and your mother. Right?
Many, yes. Well, so let me tell you to build onto that. my daughter and I, for many, many years, Brother Littlefield was still giving, Brother Littlefield giving gifts out every year. But now he was still in charge of it then. And Steve was involved in it big time. And my daughter and I, because I wanted her to know that life isn't always as easy as what you've had for other people. So we used to go on Christmas morning. Okay, now a lot of people don't want to give up anything about their own personal time, but we gave up Christmas morning every year to go over wherever they were giving toys out, and I was called the battery man, because my daughter and I's responsibility is when they picked out, if they picked out this toy, it took batteries, they brought the toy to us. We had to open it up, put batteries in it, and then we gave them batteries, extra batteries for the toy, and gave it back to them. Now let me tell you, we put a lot of batteries in, and thank goodness for Duracell, because all those were donated. I want to say that, okay? So they're a good partnership in our community. But so I want to make sure my daughters knew that it's never just given to you. There's a price to pay for it, and those people gave up their time just like I did before when I got something. So it's my responsibility to give up my time to help kids that needed help. And I'm still doing that today. Now, I'm not the battery man anymore because the program has changed so drastically. I'm the person that I'm outside, and the cars, we have a huge crew. The cars come in, they get their name, they automatically call inside to the gym and say, hey, the Weathers family's here to pick up their gifts for their kids. Well, they come around, and then the kids and whoever's helping brings the bags out. And one of my responsibilities in my group, it helps me, we make sure it gets in the right car and put them on their way. And see, they're in a bag, the kids can't see what it is. And maybe sometimes most times they don't even bring their kids. So it's changed where it's so sweet because of the fact now we give them the toys, and then they get home and they can open up and put them on the tree, and they have no idea that we as a society has stepped up to help them.
And here I'm sitting at home eating sausage balls.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna quit that. I'm gonna start helping.
Well, hey, we give them out about 2 weeks before Christmas, and if you want to come, you can come help me, because it's just a great opportunity to do something small, but realize, and you get to see, sometimes we wonder, do we really have that type of need in our town? But when they pull up, you realize we still have the need.
That's what Brenda Lawson is so big in, right?
Yeah, Lawson, yes. Oh, Brenda's wonderful. She does a great job. She heads that up now, and I'm just honored just to be able to be a part of it, to give back. That's just one little piece in life, but that's where I come from, and I'm not ashamed of it. Someone says, well, why do you cry? I'm humbled because people cared, and I want to make sure that I have that same heart they had, to make sure that I do what's right and I help our people every day and care about our people every day and never sell our people short. And I think you do that. And if you do that, God's going to bless you. And it don't matter if you win or lose, it's still okay. Because I'm just here to serve. If that's what our community wants me to do, then fine. If not, it's okay. But they'll know they've got somebody up there that cares about them and knows their heart and been where they've been.
What's incredible? You got me sold.
And let me speak of another physical conservative. Somebody asked me the other day, said, Mr. Weathers, how are you physically conservative? Well, because I've had to stretch pennies all my life, okay? That's who I am. And I'll give Kayla Lynn Davis a lot of credit for that, by the way, because he showed me that you can't be wasteful. If you allow me to talk about another bill that was very important to our community that really didn't make any sense. But so let me share with you. Our state representative sponsored a bill, and he sponsored it twice. He sponsored his first year there and his second year there. And what it was to feed all students in public education breakfast and lunch. It doesn't matter what your social economics is. Well, let me first tell you that I'm opposed to that. And this is why, Dee. I've been there. The free lunch, the federal government already pays for that. And they've paid for it since 1960 because I was one of those people that got it. And the kids who can afford their lunch, their parents, my kids, they can afford their grandkids. They can afford to pay my grandkids lunch, or I can, or somebody. But you, as a taxpayer, shouldn't have to pay for that.
It's only to help the ones that don't have it,
That
and if there's
need it.
more money, help them more.
That's right. But we shouldn't be paying for people who can't afford it. That bill had a face bill at the very beginning of that it was going to cost the people of Cleveland and Bradley County and Tennessee $714 million.
Golly.
Okay, that's per year. That's called an entitlement program. Is what that is.
Yeah.
And as a conservative Republican, you'll never see me support anything like that. I'm in favor of feeding who needs it. So, I tell people I'm in favor of giving a hand up. I just don't give handouts because handouts doesn't help me nor you. If I'm
It
doing
actually
that.
hurts the
It
people
hurts the
that
people
you
you're
can
giving it to. That's exactly right. So let me explain to you a little bit more about the bill. He ran it the first year and the second year. It failed both years. All the Democrats voted for it, and Mr. Raper, and this year all the Democrats voted for it, and Mr. Raper voted for it. All the Republicans voted against it in the committee. So it died in the committee with no support from Republicans because it was a bad bill. But let me tell you what, and one of the comments he made, I think is critical, that he said, it's worth it if it keeps one child from being hungry. Okay, now that sounds good and makes everybody feel good, but let me tell you the truth about that. There's never been a child go hungry at one of our schools if we knew you didn't have any money, you couldn't afford it, or anything else. You got a meal. My kids aren't going hungry unless they choose to go hungry. So now let me tell you what they're choosing to do today. You may or may not know, Dee, but we have a federal grant going on right now that all of our students gets a free breakfast and lunch now in Cleveland and Bradley County. Not the whole state of Tennessee, but we got a federal grant to try it because of our social economics issues here, okay? I spoke to a cafeteria manager when I was out knocking on doors, okay? And so we started talking about this free lunch deal. And she said, Mr. Weathers, let me share something with you. The free lunches started in January of this year through May. We've been giving free lunches away. We have served less lunches this year than we did last year. Now you see, there's that face. I knew it was coming, Dee. You went, what? Well, let me explain to you. The kids who can afford their lunch, they're not going to eat what the Obama Democrat menu says you have to eat. So that's who's paying for that. The Democrats are the one who sponsors that. So for the federal government because of our president. So we're back on the Obama menu. And the folks who can afford, let me tell you, I'd be happy if I was there in that category. I'd eat, just so you know, I did. Yeah. But the folks who can afford their lunch is not going to eat what Obama says you have to eat. So they're bringing their lunch or they're doing without. So my point being is I believe that we have more kids going hungry today than we did before they started giving free lunch. Matter of fact, I know it is.
I know my kids used to take their lunch to school, and I couldn't think, why in the world don't they just eat the cafeteria food? I guess it's not any good.
Well, cafeteria food's good when you don't have to be
by
regulated by the federal government. That's right. That's exactly right. I remember, Dee, going in.
Let's not give it to everybody and give a good one to the ones that need it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Put the money where it's needed.
Exactly. And that's why I was opposed to that. I'd have been opposed to that bill. I would have never done that because I don't believe giving handouts is the name. I don't believe we should be doing that. I don't believe we should have an entitlement program as a Republican. I believe we ought to be conservative, take care of our needy. But, and I'd like to tell you, Dee, would I ever not eat what's in the cafeteria? Well, let me tell you something that when I was poor, my family was poor, something I didn't eat. Salmon patties. My mother cooked salmon patties, and they would absolutely just gross you out. And I never
came in a red can.
Yes, sir. And I hated it. Okay, she'd make patties out of them. I hated it. I hated the smell, hated the taste. So I would go home and go to bed hungry because I wouldn't eat it. So how can I say anything about these people who can afford their lunch? Okay, that they wouldn't eat what the Democrats want you to eat, and would be forcing you to eat if you eat.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying we need to be very careful how we proceed and go forward with how we feed our students. and how we operate by what's free. Free's not always good, and it's never free though. Somebody's paying for it, and just so you know, it's us that's paying for it when we shouldn't have to.
If it just helped the ones that need it, it might be cheaper.
Well, it is cheaper. We've done that forever. But we've decided for some reason the federal government wants to give. When they look at their budget, they're so far in debt, it's unbelievable.
Probably somebody's brother-in-law owns a catering company, something like that.
What have you ever heard this? Follow the money?
Yeah, follow the money.
Follow the money.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere there's something there. I don't know what, and I'm not accusing anybody, but I'm just telling you, we cannot allow our state representative to move in directions like that could hurt us in the long run. And let me tell you, I have a deep concern for our seniors in Cleveland, Bradley County. I'm seeing them every day, okay? And they're on a fixed income. Mm-hmm. We don't need to put any more burden on them than we have to. And when we start talking about a $714 million or $200 million, so let me make sure, because someone's going to say, oh, that's not true, Mr. Weathers. The bill started out at $714 million. They got it down to $200 million. Now, how did they do that? Is they said, well, the federal government will still pay for the people who need it. We'll just pay for the ones who don't. Okay? Don't make any sense. And now here's what we should be all concerned about, is if the federal government sees that we're paying for these, do you think they might say, well, you'll be paying for these because we're going to stop? You got to be careful how you play your game. And that's a game you don't want to play. It's kind of Russian roulette. That's what that's called. Is the federal government's doing it now. Why would we get involved at all?
I'm going to do like Lloyd Rogers. I'm going to let you handle it.
But you know what
it's
I'm saying?
over my head.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, we got to be careful.
You're my guy.
We got to be careful what we do, and we got to think through things before we make decisions and make sure it's the best for us.
In order to help the poor.
That's right. I want to help. Trust me, that's where I came from. If anybody thinks anything different, they're way out in left field, because that's who I am. I know I haven't forgotten where I came from, but also I got to know where we're going. Where are we going to go with this, and what's it going to cost?
You think you can help all? You're trying to help all.
That's right. I want to protect the interest of the ones who can't help themselves. Okay, but I also want to make sure that we've got great jobs in Cleveland, Tennessee, that we've got employment for our kids. I've said when I was on the school board, Dee, I said, we ought to be doing what's good for our community so that my daughters, my grandkids can find great jobs here in Cleveland, Tennessee, and not have to move to Nashville or Atlanta or New York or anywhere. I want them to be here so I can be around my grandkids and my family.
I couldn't stand it if my kids moved off.
But we have to give them opportunities for that to happen. And we got to make sure what all the steps that we take, we remember what's the purpose of it. Our steps is to make sure we make a brighter future for your grandkids and my grandkids so that they don't have to go away. And if we do that, we can pat ourselves on the back someday when it's about time for us to leave this world and say, we did what was right. And our community is better for it. I'm going to mention one other thing, and I can talk all day, and you know that already. But let me tell you one other thing, the Pie Center. Now, we took a lot of criticism when we started talking about the Pie Center. Well, let me tell you, that has probably been the best investment that the taxpayers of Cleveland and Bradley County ever made, and it's going to change lives for our students and give them great jobs so that they will always be here. And let me tell you, talk to the chamber. They'll tell you it's the best decision. That's the best tool they have today to draw more companies into Cleveland, Tennessee, because we have that Pie Center. So that was one of those decisions that came from the Board of Education.
It worked, didn't it?
And it's working. Okay. Now, do we still got a way to go? Yes, we do. But I'm telling you now, it's something that the future will be bright because of it. And that was a school board decision. And I told the school board when I was the chairman, this will be your legacy. Told every one of them, this is your legacy. This will be something you'll be able to look back in years to come and say, wow, we sure did make the right choice. We sure did make some good decisions there with the help of a Tom Cry, with the help of a Johnny Mole and the people on the county commission. They came along beside us, gave us funding, taxpayers' money, I'd add, and
It
made
was
a
really
difference.
a big cohesive success.
Oh, and the state of Tennessee gave us $1 million to go toward it. So a lot of people came in because after they saw our vision, okay, they thought, wow, these guys may have a great idea. And I don't know how many people has come to Cleveland to tour the facility, but they sure have been a whole lot from all over the state. And other states have came in to see what we're doing, because we're truly doing something that's not being done. And it's going to change kids' lives and give them a chance. Everybody don't want a college education, Dee. Everybody don't need a college education. And these kids have an opportunity to go to work as soon as they graduate and make really good money.
Hey, when Wright Brothers is interested, you know something's good.
Well, let me tell you, I can't say enough good about Steve Wright and his company. Mm-hmm. They have truly invested in this program, and they hire students every year. And I challenge you, Dee, to get a hold of them and make sure they invite you to the next one. Because I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's like them being drafted. They do a ceremony. Have you ever seen it?
It's like the ROTC or something.
Yes, they have. Well, it's like football being drafted into college. They wear a jersey. They present them a jersey. It's got their name on it. Going to work for Wright Brothers.
I've seen those.
I'm telling you, man. And they sign an agreement that they're being drafted. It's just beautiful, and it's not minimum wage. I mean, we're talking about $25, $35, $45 an hour.
I had a guy working for me. They got him into it.
Well, let me tell you,
he left us. But.
Yeah, but you know what they said is they like to get them at that age because you don't have to retrain somebody.
Sure.
And then they know if the guy shows up when he's supposed to show up. Does he look good, smell good, talk good?
Know, yeah.
All those things that as business owners that we have experienced in life. So now they've got these guys. They get to say, "Hey, I want Dee. Will you come to work for me? Because you know what you're doing. We like you. You talk good, smell good, look good. All those things. And let me tell you, they pay them well because of that.
People that go to the Ply Center feel like they're going to an extended education type thing.
That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what it is. And we use our buses. Mm-hmm. I'm not on the board anymore, but county buses.
Yep.
We haul kids from Bradley and from Walker Valley, and they come in and have class, and then they take them back. And we have a morning class and an afternoon class. But I'm telling you, it will be the game changer for lots of companies here. And the nice thing about that, Dee, is as a legislator, and we're always trying to help recruit business to our towns.
To our area.
Well, let me tell you, that gives me a huge step up, having a Pie Center that I can promote and work with companies and get them interested in Cleveland, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And now we've already had companies that has said publicly the reason they came is because of the Pie Center. Well, let me tell you, I believe I can take a lot of that experience to Nashville to help us recruit more businesses for our future.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
I always get hungry about this time of my podcast. What are you eating for supper?
What am I eating for supper?
Yeah.
Well, my wife is going to fix me a bacon, cheese, and tomato sandwich. That's one of the things I like to eat
It's
at
not
nighttime.
a BLT. That's a bacon cheese. What kind of cheese?
American cheese. And
Not Velveeta?
No, not Velveeta. Well, yes, it's Velveeta. That's kind of what we use.
Yeah.
And I call it American cheese. I'm assuming that's the only kind I've ever eaten.
Yeah, I love Velveeta. So bacon, like how many? Like 5 strips or just 3 strips?
Well, probably 4 strips, 4 or 5 strips. I like lots of bacon. And I like 2 tomatoes.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law brought us some tomatoes.
Well, she already had some out?
She's already got some out ready when I come home
quick.
to cook for me.
I mean, the tomatoes are already.
Yeah.
She must have hurried up.
My mother-in-law lives in Polk County, and she buys them from the
Amish?
Amish,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
great.
they do the hot house, but they taste good.
They taste good. So we're excited. So
Any lettuce?
I'm not much of a lettuce person. I'll eat it, but it's not.
So, what kind of bread?
Just regular light bread.
Like Sunbeam or
Sunbeam,
whatever?
that's right.
So, you toast it?
No, do not toast it.
So, cheese?
Well, that's not true. She does toast it. She toasts it and put butter on it. It's not good for
Real
me. But
butter?
Real butter. Real butter.
And then cheese, and then 4 strips of bacon, and 2 tomatoes.
And let me tell you the last thing that she made me one yesterday. That's why she's making me one the other day. An egg.
Oh, I bet that's
A fried egg.
Fried egg.
Okay.
Fried both sides.
Both sides. And boy, you talking about good.
Those two. I like it when you've got just a little too much salt on it.
Well, now I like a little salt, but let me tell you what I like on it
What?
is mayonnaise. I like mayonnaise on my sandwich.
I like. Remember, you know Johnny Holden.
I know him well.
I
Yes.
was at a restaurant with him one time, and he said, "I never will forget it. Why I remember this, I don't know." The waitress said, "What do you have on it?" He said, "I'll have so and so and so and so and mayonnaise. And when you think you got too much mayonnaise, put some more on."
Well, now that's the way I feel.
But
Okay?
I've sort of switched to mustard now.
Oh, really?
For some reason, I'm more into mustard now.
You know, when I grew up, a lot of people say, "Do you eat a lot of salt?" See, we didn't put salt on our food. We didn't put pepper on our food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if we ever had mustard. We may have had ketchup,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only thing. Didn't have mayonnaise. But I just have a taste for mayonnaise. I like it on any sandwich I have.
You know, if you got
My wife hates it, by the way.
You got to be careful eating mayonnaise other than at your house because it can go bad so
Quickly.
bad
That's right.
at restaurants. That's one reason I got off. So what, we have potato chips with it?
Yes, we have potato chips. That's what we'll have with it. It's potato chips or French fries. Now today, my wife, we went to the store after church and we went and bought. There's a Neighbors restaurant down in Oodlewall. Do you know what that? If you eat there before, it's called Neighbors.
Not Neighbors. You're not talking about Mahan Gap.
No,
That's different.
Neighbors is in that shopping strip mall there in Oodlewall.
Oh, okay.
When you go
Yeah,
down through there,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And they make a French fry with some.
Like a little Cajun sauce. or
Kind of like
something?
that, yeah. Really very good. So my wife got the recipe today, and so we went to Food City and bought all the ingredients. So we had that for lunch today.
So you fry it.
You fry the
got an oil
fries, and
fryer?
then you dip them in this special oil, very expensive
bet
oil.
that's-
Okay, and then we do that. Then we put the cheese, or it is a cheese, but it's a different kind of cheese. We put that on it. Oh gosh, they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
So you had this bacon cheese tomato sandwich last night, and you said, "Honey, I want this for tomorrow night
I want
too."
tomorrow night. Yeah, when you like something, I'm one of those guys.
I'm bad to eat it like 4 days in a row.
Yeah, I am too.
And then I'm off.
And then I'm off it for a while. But
you know what I ate last night? I had a craving for some reason. I was sitting here at the office, and I just got to craving Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh gosh.
So I called my wife and I said, "Can you go?" I said, "Go get some original Kentucky Fried Chicken." And so when I got home, boy, it was good.
I'm telling you,
was good.
you know I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken for
I
years.
didn't know that.
Yes. Yes, that's why I mentioned Ms. England.
I remember you mentioned her.
But I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
John England.
John,
Yeah.
oh yeah, John. I love him. Great guy. Know his whole family.
Yeah.
His older brother that had
I
restaurants.
called him about coming on this show, and he wouldn't do it.
Oh gosh, I wish you would. I think it'd be neat. But John's a great guy, and Kathy, his wife. When I worked there, John, at the latter part of the time I was there, he ran the Wildwood store, and then I was over here at the Key Street store. But just loved it.
What
Great
years?
people. That was 19. I went to work for them in 1977. 78 and 79. I turned 18 years old, and I went to Louisville, Kentucky. That's where the capital. That's where the headquarters of KFC is. Okay, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I've been to Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, well that's where their headquarters is at, and I went there for training. I just turned 18 in 78. And went to train for as knowing how to do all the cooking and all that, which I'd already done anyway. So they really didn't teach me nothing.
Yeah.
But you had to have that to have the certification. And I'll never forget that. That was a long way to go when you was 18 years old. Let me just tell you.
The guy coming from East Cleveland.
Yeah, it was a long way. I told you yesterday when I spoke at the class reunion or the school reunion, I said our vacations were from leave here to go to Polk County. That's the farthest we ever went. We didn't go to Florida. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know nothing about Florida or
If you
anywhere
have
else.
potato chips, will you have French onion dip?
Oh, absolutely. And only Mayfield.
Boy, I've got a dog that I've got to give her French onion dip or sour cream with everything. It just eats it up. It's like it's waiting for the sour cream. I never seen nothing like it.
Well, we love French onion dip, Mayfield brand only, though.
Yeah,
None of
it's
the others
good.
work.
And the little red, well, it used to be a little red with a cardboard top. Now it's got that plastic top. But it's just,
right.
I remember when it was cardboard top, you had to just about eat it all at that time. Remember how you get stuff
Yes.
on the side?
Yep.
What about Ruffles? Ruffles?
I love Ruffles chips. If they're going to be chips, I like them to be Ruffles.
I like
always
the
have.
original Ruffles.
Me too.
But what else goes on a BLT? What about any banana peppers?
No, I'm not much into peppers. I
Banana
have.
peppers aren't hot.
Well, so I've never cared for pepper products at all. I
but
don't
a
put,
banana pepper is just sort of a.
Right.
It's not even. You can just eat the whole thing.
you know, it's kind of like what you. I guess it's become whatever you're used to doing. I never
Yeah.
have done that, so I
The
didn't like.
pepper's a banana pepper is the wrong name for it is pepper because
Pepper.
it's not really. It's a peppercino. Peppercino. You can eat the whole one,
By
but
itself,
that
yeah.
would be good with a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I believe I'm gonna have that tonight with French with Ruffles
There you go.
and a good Coke.
There you go. We drink Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
We're Diet Coke lovers there, and to be honest with you, you know what I really want with a sandwich
What?
is milk. I'm a
I'm
milk
not
drinker.
a milk with
Oh,
a
gosh.
sandwich guy. I drink milk every morning.
Now, I can drink milk at every meal. I love it. It to me, that or water. Now, I'm not.
Can you drink milk with pizza?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had a dozer man. The only way he'd eat pizza is if he had a glass of milk. I thought that was odd.
My whole family thinks I'm crazy because they think,
I
how
thought
can
he
you
was
drink that?
crazy.
Yes. How do you drink milk at these having pizza?
Well,
You
he
know?
told me he thought it was I was crazy for drinking a Coke with a pizza.
Well, I don't drink beer or anything like that, so most people like beer with
Yeah.
pizza. I don't
Yeah,
like.
no, I've never
I've never
thought-
done that.
What about dessert? We have any dessert?
No, we don't have. When I say no, there's always a little Debbie later on.
Sure.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Those raisins. What kind of little Debbie's you like?
When I like the what's the two pieces? That's peanut butter. What are they called? Little bit, yeah, Nutty Buddies.
I'm not much into
Oh
the
gosh,
Nutty
I like
Buddies.
Nutty Buddies, and then they've got a Little Debbie's has the little
Oatmeal cream.
no, not oatmeal, but peanut butter. It's the peanut butter cookie with peanut butter in the middle. Oh gosh, they are wonderful.
You know what I don't eat much, but I like is those. What is it called? Those look like a peanut, but they got.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Shaped like a peanut.
Yes, shaped like a
is
peanut.
that?
What are they called?
A Nutter Butter?
Nutter butter. Yeah.
That's not it, is it?
The sandwich cookie.
It's a little
Yeah.
sandwich cookie.
Nutter butter.
Here's my problem. I could eat a pack of those.
If I eat
If I get
one, I'll
started,
just eat the whole
oh,
pack.
gosh, me too. I'd say
You know,
that's the truth.
I've eaten 2 Fig Newtons all day. That's all I've eaten. Crazy, isn't it? I eat like a snake. I'll eat real big and it'll last me a day, and then I'll eat again. When I eat.
When I'm busy, I don't eat.
That's the way I am. To me,
if I
it's a
get
waste
busy,
of time.
it's just a waste of time. The problem is if I eat, then I get sluggish, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do the things I really want to accomplish today. So it's kind of like knocking on doors. I'll take me a water, or a Gatorade or something, so I don't dehydrate.
Do you just start walking and knocking on doors?
No, sir. I'm glad you asked that question. I have. You can get a list of people
Yeah.
that vote, not who
Right.
they vote for, but they're who they
Yeah.
do
So you
vote.
go with that.
So I have that list, and this year I've done things a little bit different than normal. Usually I had a book that had every name in my in the 24th district name in it. Well, this year I broke it down to where I'm do precincts. Like E.L. Ross. I'm working in E.L. Ross district now, okay? And I've got some folks working in the Stewart district. I got some folks working in the Lee district, Lee University district. And so when we're done with that, then we'll go to the next district. I think we got like 9 districts.
You got sort of an organization going?
That's right. That's right. You have to. I mean, last time it was just me knocking on doors, but I've got folks that says, "Hey, I want to be a part of this organization and this group, and we'd like to knock on doors for you." So, I've been very blessed. I guess you've probably seen where I have a sign at every Harry's in town.
I haven't I've seen your signs, but I haven't noticed that it was at Harry's.
Well,
If you have it at Harry's, you got it at a lot of places.
A lot of good places, and they are wonderful citizens of Cleveland, Tennessee. Let me just tell you, they work hard, and I had an opportunity to meet them.
Harry himself?
Not Harry himself. No, some other gentleman that's right below him, but they have been nothing but kind to me, and they offered.
Prashad?
Fashad.
That's not his name,
I apologize. I'm not sure all the names, but very nice people, very hardworking, and
They say he's smart.
oh, well, trust me, they're all smart.
I've met Harry.
The ones
I'm
I've
not
dealt
for
with.
sure.
Now, I haven't met, and I've never met Harry.
Oh,
but
Harry's
the ones,
great.
Yeah. But they have been kind enough to let me put my signs up on their property, and that don't happen. I mean, I told him when I talked to him, I said this. He called me and said, "Mr. Weathers, would you like to put we don't put signs on our property," but I'd had a little relationship with them several months back, and was able to help them. Like I tell you that when people need help, just because I'm not on the board or involved in those elected things, I still know people that can help people. Okay, so they had an issue, and I was able to intervene and help. And they appreciated it. And later on, they contacted me and said, "Mr. Withers," I met them I went to a fundraiser for Life Bridges, okay? And there were 4 of them there, the Patels. And I went and introduced myself, and we talked for a few minutes. And then they contacted me and said, "Hey, if you would like to put your signs up, we've got the stores in Cleveland." Then they called me back and said, "Well, do you want to put them in Chattanooga?" And I said, "Well, my district don't go to Chattanooga, it's just here in Cleveland." But they've been more than kind to me to do that. And I told them, and 'cause I'm simple, but very appreciative of what people do. I said, it was like hitting the lottery when you called me, just so you know. Because that's huge, because it's hard to find places to put your sign in the first place. And I don't put my sign unless I ask, or they ask me. Never will I put my sign on anybody's property, and because I think that is assuming something that's not true, that you're in charge.
And you never know, it might piss somebody off.
Well, it does. Trust me, it does.
I can't imagine that. I wouldn't care if anybody put any signs in my yard, but some people it would. So I've had some people say they put a sign in my yard and they get real offended.
Very offended. And a business is the real mistake, because that's not right. Okay.
It's really not. If you own a storefront and you had somebody's, you'd just be cutting your throat off. Really.
Well, and they don't. Unfortunately, people don't understand that. But that's somebody's personal property. I'd never put my sign on your personal property or your business ever without you telling me I could. On my way over here, I put some signs out because they got on my website and said, "Mr. Weathers, we want a yard sign." But to do it just to be putting it out there, I don't do that, and never have. And sometimes you can't. I think I told you earlier that I'm the manager of my campaign, because it's my responsibility. When the fat lady sings, it's on me, and I'm gonna make sure that we are above approach in anything that we do in this campaign. That we tell the truth, we treat people right, and we don't take advantage of anybody. And I think when you put signs at places that you haven't asked, you're trying to take advantage of the situation. And I don't think you should do that. I don't do that, and I don't believe anybody could ever call you and say, "Mr. Weathers put his sign in my yard or on my business property in front of my business," without without asking.
When is the election?
The election?
For the viewers, give them the summary.
Okay. Early voting will be July the 12th through the 24th will be early voting. And the early voting places that I'm aware of will be Perry Stone's ministry over past the YMCA. I'm assuming now I haven't heard a report yet, but the one down on Dalton Pike will be at the old fire hall, right behind the fire hall. There's a building, and then downtown. And I encourage you to vote. Let me tell you, if you vote for me or vote for anybody else, I still encourage you to go out and vote, because it's important. Let me tell you, Dee, people I don't know if you know that, but we are major in this county registered as Republicans, probably more than any place in the state of Tennessee. So, and when I've gone to Nashville, that's all they want to talk about is, man, you guys have really got it going there. You've got good conservative voters out there that are Republicans. Please go vote and vote your conscience, vote what you believe, and know what's truly going on, because we need people who know, we need people to vote that knows what's happening and has faith in whoever you vote for to go to Nashville. I hope it's me.
Hey,
Thank you, sir. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time. I
I love
appreciate
you,
you.
man.
Love you too, brother.